What's going on, everybody? Back in the garage today, and just wanted to share this lighting project with you. Rigid does supply you with a harness and a relay, and this is a three-way switch that is light. This is a three-way switch that has a light on it. I normally don't use these, and what I actually have to use instead is this. And so this is going to kind of be two reviews in one here. This is a Blazer wireless management system. I actually got this idea from somebody else. I think I saw it on YouTube or a forum. And basically it prevents you from having to run wires through the firewall, which I have read can be a little bit difficult on these new Gladiators. But I've heard several people kind of complain about that process. So this basically is a box that mounts by the battery, or somewhere in there, connects to your battery, has two 30-amp fuses, and then basically you wire your accessories in here, and then you have a remote control that turns it on and off. Alright, so we're going to be mounting these up on the pillar here, and the reason I got the side shooter lights is because I do like to have some side beam here. That helps in the woods for deer, animals, different things like that, and it just kind of opens it up a little bit as far as the light goes. So we're going to be mounting these here. Actually, in the last Jeep I had, I mounted this front hole, and that does get in the way a little bit of the hood. You can't fully extend the hood, so if you're going to be doing something that needs the hood fully raised up, you're going to probably need to either take these lights off or adjust them to where they won't hit the hood. I'm thinking about trying this hole this time and seeing if that will work. That way I would never have to remove that. They do have lots of different mounting options for both the JL and the JT as far as pillar mounts or as cowl mounts, depending on what they call them. What I have is basically just a spacer that you remove this bolt or that bolt and you put the spacer in, and it is just barely above flush, and then you can mount a light there. And I really like that sleek look, and so we're going to reuse those on the Gladiator. So I want to show you a little bit about how these mount up, and this is a little difference between Baja Designs and Rigid. Rigid comes with these nuts. Basically you need to mount the hardware before you put it on the Jeep, and what makes that difficult is that once this is mounted up, the bolt that goes here and actually mounts it to the Jeep, it's a little bit difficult to get to. As you can see, there's not much space there, so you probably are going to have to do that with a wrench. Here's a little tip. I've got this one already in here. Leave this as loose as you possibly can, and that way you can fold the light back like that when you sit it on there, and you have better access to that mounting point. And so the first time I did that, I got it pretty much set up and tight, and then I only had, well, let's see, so I only had about that much space in there, and I made it work, but it was difficult. So what I have learned is when you put these in here, just get them in there good enough so they don't come out. So you just slide that little nut in there, and then you get this, and this is a 5mm Allen, and you just put that in there, and it stays, the frame of the light holds the nut, and it's in there. And so now it's not going to come out, but you're going to have full flexibility on how to mount that light. So let's get these things mounted up and see how they look. All right, so here are the spacers that I was talking about, and basically you remove this bolt and this just sits in there. So we're going to try this back hole here and see how that goes. And you do not reuse this bolt. This actually came with its own bolt, and so it sits in there like that, and then you mount the light on top. So let's get a light in here and see how that looks. So this is kind of what I was talking about as far as leaving some space there. The more flexible this is, the easier it's going to be. So honestly, I think this light is going to mount really well right there, and now it won't be in the way of the hood. So we're going to get the wrench and go ahead and tighten it up. That is a 10mm wrench. So if you don't have ratcheting wrenches, I would invest in some. They're good, not just for this project, but basically any project. And so we're just trying to get that centered. show you something here. Not a fan of that. I don't know if you can see those scratches there. That's just from my hand going across the paint. And my hands, maybe a little calloused, but man, I didn't think the paint was going to be that soft. So I'm going to have to get something to buff that out once we get finished. Maybe get some gloves. You can see that it just barely clears the paint, but it is not going to touch or rub. And so now we'll just get our 5mm Allen wrench and get those lights adjusted. All right, so those are pretty good, and I've just got them resting there right now. I don't have anything tightened down, and so probably they may be up a little higher when we get those set. And one thing I do is I leave those loose until you get the wires tucked under here, because that just makes it easier to move that wire around. Actually, what I think I'm going to do with this wire is probably just tuck it in this groove here. That actually, oh, that fits perfect. And then this will go underneath the hood. That way I don't have to run it underneath this piece here. That's a perfect place for that. So, okay, let's get the other one on and see what they both look like. All right, so here's a word to the wise and how to learn from my mistakes. And when you get in a hurry, you just don't look at things as carefully as you should. These side shooter lights, when they come in pairs, they only have the side shooters on one side, and that way you don't have light coming on the inside basically that could shine in your eyes. They just shine towards the outside. So when you put these pairs on, you've got to take a look and make sure you get the right one. So if you see here, there's no lights. They're all on this side. So I put the wrong lights on the wrong side, so I'm having to take them all back off again and then put the right lights on the right side. So look before you start installing and don't get in a hurry. I say that and I do it every time. I just am excited to get these things on and I wasn't paying attention. So I'm going to have to take these off, switch sides, and then we'll be ready to go. Okay, so got the lights back on and I have the side shooters in the right place. So this is what it looks like from the front. And again, I really like how the rigid lights just kind of, they don't take over the hood, and the black blends in pretty good with the frame. And so they're noticeable, but they don't dominate the look of the Jeep, in my opinion. But what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and open the hood and wire this up. So a quick look at the rigid wiring harness. This is a very well-made harness. This has a relay. This is a 60 amp relay, and it has an inline fuse. This is the switch connection, and these are the Deutsch connections. And so we're going to take this apart, and we are not going to use this switch connection. We're going to hook it up to our Blazer wireless management system. So let's get this thing open and see what it looks like. All right, so here is the Blazer wireless management system. I actually picked this up at AutoZone for 40 bucks. Oh, that's cool. It's already got the clip on there for your sun visor. AutoZone was really one of the few places that I could find this. So we're going to have to mount this somewhere inside the under the hood. And it comes with double-sided tape and Velcro. So that'll be great because I didn't really want to drill into anything here. So let's get this out of the packaging. And so this hard wires into your battery. It also is 2 fuses on there. And then you have different ratings for whatever you're hooking up. And so you've got your plus minus for each category here. And then you've got 2 20 amps, 2 5 amps, 2 3.5 amps, and 2 1.5 amps. So this is pretty nice. For $39, I looked at S-Pods and Switch Pros and all that stuff, and I would have liked to have had something like that, but I thought I would give this a shot because for $40, this seems like a pretty awesome deal. So let's see if we can find a good spot to put this under the hood. All right, so I got the Blazer hooked up, and I actually mounted it on top of the fuse box here, and that was really probably the best place I found for it. It's just double-sided tape that has Velcro on it, so it can be removed fairly easily. And if you need to access the fuses, I still have extra wire here, so that can come off and just lay out of the way, even with this on top of it. So you just hook that up to your battery, and then now you have this ready. So when we go back to our wiring harness, we aren't going to need the relay, the switch, and any of that. So basically what I need is the Deutsch plugs and then right here they go into just a regular positive and negative. So I'm probably going to cut maybe right here and then hook that into the blazer. All right, so we got this cut here, and so I am going to take my screwdriver here and I'm putting this in the 20 amp. All right, so that's tight, and so there is the wiring harness. And so basically what I did there, I'm just going to run it up along the back here, and I'm going to zip tie that up once I make sure everything is working correctly. So this unit here is basically what's controlling this. It is fused and it has relays and all that built into it. So the true test is going to be whether it works with the remote control. So let's grab the remote, and that was on green 20 amp, and there it is. So you just hit the green 20 amp button and that comes on. That is pretty nice. Honestly guys, for 40 bucks, this is amazing. I mean, you'll pay 30 or 40 bucks just for the relay. All right, so next we're going to get this outside once it gets a little darker, and we're going to aim these lights and get some night shots. All right guys, real quick, just a little disclaimer. I noticed when I got back here and looked, I had some bare wire showing there. So I took those back out and redid that to where there's no bare wire showing, just the covering. So just a disclaimer there. You can never be too careful when wiring stuff up. So now I don't have to worry about any bare wires possibly touching or anything like that in the future. All right guys, we are outside and it is pretty dark. We're going to kick these rigid lights on here and see how bright they are. So one thing I like about these side shooter lights, as you can see, there's a beam coming from the side here, and so you can see it on the ground, and that's pretty far back actually. There's the mirror. I can't see, it's dark, but here's the mirror right here where my hand is, and pretty much straight across there's some light on the ground. So that will light up the sides of the road pretty well. And video is so hard in my experience to get the quality or the brightness of the light just from a video. But let's get inside and see what it looks like from the cab. So these are just the rigid lights. There's nothing else on. Let's go ahead and turn those back off. And then let's wait for this interior light to go out. So let's turn the lights back on and see what they look like when they come on. So one of the things that people complain about sometimes is the hood glare. Luckily on red you don't get that much hood glare. You can see the lights are hitting it a little bit, and so the reason that I have them not maybe pointed a little higher is because I adjusted it a lot based on the side. And so if you look out of the A-pillar right here, you can see that is lit completely. And even if you roll the window down, again, here's the mirror, and if you look down right here, that's lit, and even some back here just a little bit. So that's a pretty good spread of light to be able to see to the side like that. And I'm very pleased with the light output in front. Now this driving beam does kind of throw it around a little bit. It's not as centered as a spot beam, which wasn't what I was looking for anyway. So this is what the rigid looks like. We'll get back out one more time and take just another look. And I'm loving this remote, by the way, because I can stand out and turn it on and off with the remote. So the light output on these is extremely high. You know, that's pretty much impossible to film because it's so bright, but it puts out quite a bit of light. Again, there's everything off, and I can't see it in the video, but the trees that are way down there, they're lit up pretty well also. And then this tree right here, it's extremely bright from the naked eye. So Again, I don't know how the video quality is going to turn out when it's rendered, but everything is pretty bright where I am, and a lot of side coverage here, which I really like. And so here is another good example. Coming up on a little creek crossing here, and what you see now is what I see with my headlights. But if you look out here, not a lot you can see. Turn the lights on. That really lights everything up. And then on the sides, it lights up the sides there. So that's one of the main reasons I like having the side shooter, is what you see on the edges. So again, that's off, and the visibility is not a whole lot. And so these lights really make a huge difference as far as what you can see.